Hi. Well, happy Friday. Welcome to Unplugged. I am so excited because, I'm always excited about this, but I'm especially excited today because I am bringing on a guest. And I know I promised you that Fridays would be just with me, but I promise you're going to love this. I have my fiance, the most amazing person in the entire world, the person that everybody always wants to hear from and see, Miss Breezie Jordan. Hi, honey.
Hi.
How are you? Are you excited about this?
Yes, I'm very excited.
So, we did an episode this week with Kyle. And in that episode, he and I talked a lot about just like relationships with ourselves and with each other during what was 2020. So, like with a pandemic and just all of the uncertainty in the world. And I told him how you and I, like at the beginning of COVID, when everybody went inside their homes and like everything shut down, how like you and I had to do like a very quick 1-2 step and like pivot because we realized like very quickly that we were not two people who were meant to just be stuck in the house together all day. And I shared with him how like you slept in the guest bedroom and how like that actually was like the best thing for us. And I think a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, like are you guys okay?" But I feel like you and I are so much better because we like discovered that about ourselves and each other so early on in the pandemic. I would just love for you to like share your experience with that and like what you've learned since, 2020 happened.
I would be glad to share that. Yeah, I feel like us having a house with a guest room saved us in 2020. I think we did learn right away that we need our own time and our own space to do whatever it is we need to do, and that's okay. And we don't have to be together 24 hours a day. And we realize that we do a lot of things together. And so I think one of the most impactful things or lessons we learned early on was from a personal training client of mine. She said, if you and your partner typically spend 4, 5, 6 hours a day apart, like whatever number it is, even if it's just 2 hours, because some days like we really would spend a lot of time together, but pre-COVID, if you spend only a couple hours apart, then match that during COVID. So I think that's what we figured out how to do was like, yeah, you were used to being at Soul Cycle for a little bit. I was used to having more clients, being away for a little bit, used to going on shoots, and we needed those like few hours to kind of like reset. And so once we kind of went in separate rooms for a little bit and just took some time, like I, read in there or watched TV, and you were in your room or in our room doing, whatever it is you were doing. And it was just nice because it was like, okay, we were back to being ourselves, giving ourselves some like self love, self care. And that was okay. And that was good and healthy. And then we were able to reground in really appreciating the time that we spent together. So.
I completely agree with that. And I would add that we kind of broke the rules because everybody we talked to was like, oh, we are stuck in the house and it sucks. And we're bored in the house and we're in the house bored. And you and I kind of pivoted very quickly in a way that worked for us. And I'm really proud of that because I saw the walls caving in. Okay, so here's the thing. I am an introvert, which is like a lot of people do not agree or do not see that in me because they see that I am Danielle. I am outgoing and I give and I'm, in your face all the time. And that's true. But that is because I get to be alone and I recharge by being alone. And I think a lot of people miss what actually being an introvert or an extrovert is. An introvert and extrovert is not how you interact with people, it's how you recharge. And so for me, I recharge by being alone, where Breezy,
For me, I recharge with people and especially my people. So Danielle, Owen, my family, and we just had to really learn that is how each other works. And then we were able to give each other the space to do both of those things so that we were both better mentally and emotionally and for each other.
Yeah, because I realized like very early on that I was used to getting up in the morning before everybody else did because I taught very early in the morning and that was my time. And then all of a sudden, my days are starting with Owen running in and Breezy being like, "What are we doing today?" And I'm like, "We, as in plural, are doing nothing until I, single, get to do me." And so I think I'll give my advice and then you can give yours. Like my advice to anybody who is like feeling like that trapped feeling of like, I don't know, I love my family so much, but I also like need to be away from them. My experience was that I just had to set very clear boundaries and I found it very empowering. And I encourage you that it is okay to need you time if that is what recharges you, because the only reason the only way that I can be a good mom and a good partner and a good instructor and a good motivator and a good, like all the things that I'm good at, the only way I can do that is if I get to recharge, right? So we talk about this all the time on the podcast, like refilling your cup so you're not pouring from an empty vase and all these things. And that is the perfect example of that. So for my introverts out there, I will say that you have to be very clear about that and not compromise it for anything, because I think it did hurt your feelings at the very beginning because she thought I just didn't want to spend time with her. And I was like, no, I absolutely do want to spend time with you. And I need time alone. So that's my advice to any introverts out there. Like, be okay to demand your time because it is just as valuable as the time you give other people.
And to go along with that, I think what we also really regrounded in was not assuming we knew what each other wanted or needed because of the sheer chaos of quarantine and all the emotions of society as a whole, that we were able to reground in asking what each other needed and really like focusing mostly on listening to each other and yeah, not having expectations that like how you recharge or how you want to spend your day is how I want to spend my day or how I want to recharge. So we had to like almost like double our communication and like take it to another level so that we were really clear on asking for what we needed, listening to each other, and that helped so that we weren't like not meeting each other's expectations. It was like expectations were very clear, needs were very clear, what we wanted was very clear, and then we were able to give each other the space to just do that for ourselves.
I think clear is kind. And that's something we really, really learned in 2020 is that the clearer we could be with each other, the better we were. And listen, like we are not therapists, we are not psychologists, we are not relationship experts. All we have is the experience that we have. And, Breezy and I have gone through quite the journey to get to where we are. It's been emotional, it's been hard, it's been very painful at times, it's been heartbreaking at times, but it's also been joyous and it's been loving. And at the very, very core, it's been full of very clear communication. So that is something I'm very proud of. And you're hot and you look good naked.
You have a nice butt.
Anything else you want to share? Anything else you've learned over the last year that you really feel like you need to share?
I guess the only other thing for, as you spoke about being an introvert, being an extrovert, I actually learned that I love to use other people to recharge, but sometimes it is more beneficial to recharge alone. And I was like inspired by you doing that and like really taking pride in giving yourself time. And so I made some growth in being able to like identify when I was hitting a wall and needed to give like some time for myself and recharge alone instead of recharging with other people or using other people all the time. And that was like a huge growth moment for me. So like even if you are an extrovert, even if you do love like I absolutely love to use Danielle and Owen in my family and even Sky, like our dog, taking her on a run to like recharge. And I'm realizing now that like I can't always use other people. And like I really just sometimes need to be 100% alone with myself and my thoughts and recharge that way. And it does help so much in relationships and so much in how you can be for other people.
I'm going to have Breezy back on this podcast. We wanted to give you a little taste of what it would look like for like a couples episode as it is. It is February. Love. Yay. But, be gentle with yourself. Obviously, like people feel like we're coming out of like, or we're starting to enter what will be the post COVID era. But I think there's so much space for just grace and, you know, listening, and we are in a beautiful space. And I just hope that whatever, her and I share with you about our relationship maybe, relates in some way to yours. And don't worry, she'll be back, right? You'll be back. You want to come back?
I definitely want to come back. And I think what you said about grace and coming out of this time, one of the biggest learnings I had individually, and then I like shared it with you, and we both collectively realized that during quarantine, during COVID, the past year was like one of the first times, well, definitely in our lives, but that we could ever remember in the world, where all of society, like the world as a whole, was experiencing the same emotional feelings, which was feelings of grief. Everyone was grieving in some way or another. Like, yeah, it was wild. And so we have to remember that everyone individually, because people lost loved ones, people lost jobs, people lost businesses, people lost dignity, people lost out on experiences. Like there was so much collective loss, and everyone is experiencing grief in their own way. And so, yeah, just having so much more grace for one another, having more space to share with each other. And that's how we're going to get out of this, is just love and grace and sharing.
And telling people when they look good naked. People deserve to hear that. Anyway, we are really grateful that you spent some time with us today. I know that these episodes tend to be shorter, and so I appreciate you giving Breeze and I a little bit extra of your time. And we will see you on next week for our last episode of February with Angela Manuel Davis, the queen herself. Have a great day.